There's a verse in the Bible that a lot of people skip right past when they think about money. It's short. It's easy to miss. But once you really sit with it, it might change the way you look at every dollar that passes through your hands. Here it is. Luke 16 verse 10 says this: "Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much, and whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much." Now on the surface, this sounds like it's just about honesty, right? Like, don't steal, don't lie, be a good person. And sure, that's part of it. But I want to share a perspective with you today that goes a little deeper than that. Because I believe this verse might actually be pointing at one of the biggest reasons so many of us struggle with money, and most of us never even notice it happening. So stick with me here, because this one might hit different. Let's talk about something most people believe, whether they say it out loud or not. Most of us think our money problems come from not having enough. Not enough income. Not enough savings. Not enough opportunity. And look, I get why we think that way. It feels true in the moment. But here's a thought worth considering. What if the real issue isn't about having enough? What if, from a biblical view, the issue actually starts way before that? What if it starts with how we treat the small stuff, long before any big stuff ever shows up? Think about it this way. The little choices you make today, the ones that feel too small to matter, those might actually be showing exactly how you'd handle something bigger. How you treat $20 might say a lot about how you'd treat 20,000. And that's kind of a wild thought when you really let it sink in. This idea suggests that faithfulness gets tested in small moments long before abundance ever arrives. And maybe that's why so many prayers for more money, more blessing, more provision, don't seem to go anywhere. Not because the desire is wrong, but because the small season, the season we're in right now, might be the actual training ground. Let's dig into what this verse might really be saying. Jesus told this story to people who managed things for other people, stewards, workers, folks handling resources that weren't fully their own. And that's actually a picture of all of us, isn't it? Because from this perspective, everything we have was given to us. Our paycheck. Our little side business. Every opportunity that's landed in our lap. Even our time. None of it is something we built completely on our own out of thin air. So when the verse says, the very little, maybe it's talking about all of that. Your current paycheck, even if it feels small. Your current business, even if it's just getting started. Your daily hours, even the ones that feel boring or repetitive. All of that could be the little being talked about here. And here's the part that really gets me. Wasting small amounts of money might not just be a scheduling problem or an organizing problem. It might actually reveal something much bigger about our character. Not because we're bad people, but because habits, even tiny ones, tend to grow. They don't usually stay small forever. Being faithful, in this sense, isn't about being rich or perfect with money. It's about managing what's already in your hands with a little more care, a little more purpose, a little more thought before you spend it. Now let's get real for a second, because this is where it starts to hit close to home for a lot of us. Think about the little habits that quietly shape a person's whole financial life. Buying something just because it feels good in the moment. Spending money because you're stressed, or bored, or trying to feel better after a hard day. Never really sitting down to plan where the money's actually going. Skipping the small savings because, hey, it's just a few dollars, right? And maybe the biggest one of all, waiting to get serious about money once a bigger paycheck finally shows up. Here's the thing though. If none of those small habits change, a bigger paycheck usually doesn't fix anything. It just makes the same patterns louder. More money without a change in how we handle it often just means more of the same struggle, just with bigger numbers attached. This creates something like a loop. Small mismanagement leads to feeling behind. Feeling behind leads to more emotional spending. And that leads right back to feeling behind again. Around and around it goes. So if this perspective holds any truth, growing your income by itself isn't really the answer. Growing your character around money, that might be the actual starting point. Alright, so how do we actually put this into practice? Let's make it simple. First, start managing what you already have right now, today. Not what you wish you had. Not what you'll have next year. What's actually in your hands this very moment. Second, Treat the small expenses with a little more respect. That coffee, that subscription, that random impulse buy, none of it seems huge on its own, but small leaks sink real ships over time. Third, try to catch the moments where you're wasting money without even thinking about it. Just noticing it is honestly half the battle. Fourth, build a little bit of daily discipline. Doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't have to be extreme. Just consistent. Small consistent choices add up in a way that one big decision never really can. Fifth, maybe try shifting how you see money altogether. Instead of only seeing it as something that belongs to you, try seeing it as something that's been placed in your care for a season. That mindset alone can change how carefully you handle it. And finally, before big financial decisions, take a breath, maybe say a quick prayer, and really think it through instead of rushing in emotionally. Here's the heart of it all. Real financial change probably doesn't start with one huge lucky break. It starts with the small, quiet choices you make on an ordinary Tuesday when nobody's watching and nothing feels urgent. So let's bring this all together. Luke 16 verse 10 might be pointing at something way bigger than simple honesty. It could be describing a spiritual pattern that quietly shapes our financial life too. And from this perspective, it seems like character usually gets built first, before bigger resources ever get placed in someone's hands. So here's my encouragement for you today. Wherever you are financially, whether it feels like a lot or it feels like barely anything, start applying this principle right where you're standing. Handle the small stuff with care. Watch what happens next. Now I'd love to hear from you. What's one small financial habit you're going to change starting today? Drop it in the comments. I really want to know. And if this message meant something to you, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's coming next, and share this with someone you know who's going through a tough season with money right now. This message might be exactly what they need to hear today.